Hello everybody, it is Brony time, and welcome back to Let's Play Ace Attorney Investigations Collection, Miles Edgeworth. Yes, that's right, we are here, and we just came up with a second possibility of how, Agent Hicks could have died, and now Francesca's like, oh, there you have it. LeBlanc wasn't hurt or injured, so there's no way so that eliminates this line of reasoning. And so we'll get right back into it. I feel like we're coming to the end of this little mystery. But anyway, the reason I'm starting this history screen is I'm pretty sure I accidentally skipped a line of dialogue before I closed the game last time. And there you have it, Miles Edgeworth. It is not possible that Agent Hicks fell over the railing to his death. That man is living proof of that. I suppose it's true that it's not possible, given the current circumstances. The current circumstances? What is that supposed to mean? Suppose that large piece of cargo wasn't there at the time. What would have happened then? It would have been a Virginia pancake for sure, sir. I suppose that man over there wouldn't still be breathing. But the reality is that the cargo box is there. So there is no point in entertaining a violent hypothetical scenarios. It may be there now, but there is no proof that it was always there. Ha! As if there could have been a window of time when that giant box was not there. Ah, but there was. What? What can I use to show that it's possible the box was not always where it is now?
Take that!
You refueled in the Republic of Zengfa? Yes, this flight had a short layover in Zengfa in order to refuel. But that wasn't the only reason for the layover. We also transferred some cargo. What if the box in question was only transferred onto the plane at that time? To further prove my point, let's take a look at what's next to the box in question. It's labeled Zhengfa Express! Correct, meaning it was loaded onto the plane in Zhengfa. Now, what if the box in question was also loaded on at the same time? It would mean that the box was not here in the cargo hold during the Zhengfa leg of the flight, making a clear drop from which Agent Hicks could have fallen to his death entirely possible. But your theory is still very far-fetched. And allow me a chance to prove how very likely my scenario is. First order's business will be to examine that piece of cargo in more detail. This is a rather large piece of cargo. There's a tag on it, sir. Let's see. Ali Fred statue. Never heard of it. Nor I, but all I care about is if we can prove it wasn't here at the time of the crime. Let's get investigating, sir. Look here, do not go about touching my possessions without my permission. Don't rush up on me like that, pal. So this belongs to Mr. LeBlanc, does it? I should see what else I can find out from him. I take it that this large piece of cargo belongs to you, Mr. LeBlanc. Of course it is mine. I shipped this fine piece of art from Europe. This Ali Fred statue is worth 10 million cents. No, maybe much, much more. Mr. LeBlanc's reason for choosing this plane must have been the large cargo hold. 10 million cents? Since you stop trying to calculate how many packets of noodles that makes, detective. Don, how'd you do that? I feel like you keep getting better and better, seeing right through me every year. Though I grow with each revolution of the planet around the sun. I have the distinct impression he continues to madly spin in place. And Mr. Edgeworth, so that 10 million cents, is that in euros or in dollars? Does it really make a difference to our case? Mr. LeBlanc, there is a chance that your cargo is related to our murder case. I was wondering if you would allow us to examine it a bit closer. It is a very valuable piece of art, so no, there will be no touching. Definitely connected. If Mr. Blanc has something to do with the smuggling ring, then it's possible this fake statue was brought on board in Shangfa. I think I need to question him a bit further. About your statue, Mr. LeBlanc. I wonder if it might be a fake. What? How dare you say my art is fake? I suspect that your statue might be the target of an international smuggling ring. Don't say such fantastical things. Those thieves were not there. I have the certification of my cargo right here. Do you mean the cargo certification documents? Mr. Zinc LeBlanc, why did you say so earlier? Please show us it to us at once. I can't read this. What does it say? It says as plain as day, the cargo was put onto the plane in Europe. And there you have it, Miles Edgeworth. Too bad for you. This statue was brought on board in Europe, just as it states in this certificate. No, that's... which means that there never was a window of time in which the statue wasn't sitting there. I respectfully disagree. I can't discount the theory until I see the statue for myself. Then you can have your wish. Look at it yourself and see I am right. This. I know I've seen this somewhere before. This is the alley Fred. Gives off such a feeling of art. I can practically smell it. This statue has a... This statue has a high amount of historic value. After it was unveiled at a museum in Europe, I brought it to the country to exhibit it. I believe a closer look is warranted here. So, this is the infamous Ali Fred statue. What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? Did you find something? There's something wrong with this picture. We should examine it in more detail. Let's take a look at that this picture. Ah. I see. Is this spot somehow connected to any of the evidence I hold? Eureka! These eyes are awfully orange, don't you think? Yeah, and pretty. They remind me of the sunsets when I was in grade school, sir. I don't think you see what I'm talking about. No, I do, but it's really like the color of the sun when it's setting, sir. Ah, the memories. I remember standing out in that field, spinning with my arms out until I felt ill. I don't care about sunsets. Focus, detective. What color are the eyes in this photo? Huh? Ah, sir, they're red! As I thought, this statue is a fake. Mr. LeBlanc, what do you want? Do you not know I am a busy man? I allow you 2 seconds for your answer. The Ali Fred, I suppose this is your pride and joy, is it not? It is the biggest trophy on this European trip. Do you know I wanted to possess this statue? The trigger started 17 years ago. Grab a chair, sir. Sounds like this is gonna be a long story. Mr. LeBlanc, I regret to inform you, and you have my heartfelt sympathy, but what is it? Sympathy for what? You'll see. For what? Sorry, I went to gumshoe there. You'll see. I'd like you to compare the eyes. That large fella that has very bright and pretty eyes compared to you. I wasn't talking about the two of us. I meant the eyes of the statue in front of us, and the one in this photo. Why the son yelling? Now then, oh! And it is the photo of the statue on display at the museum in Europe. Ah! Now do you see, Mr. LeBlanc? The statue before us is a fake. A fake? I believe even further examination will be required. Now to confirm that this is indeed a fake, there must be some sort of proof that this was brought on board in Shangfa. I will present to you evidence that will resolve the remaining contradiction. Aha!
Eureka!
There's clearly a contradiction here. What's are you going on about? It's just a simple case of cargo. Sorry, God. It's just a simple case of cargo cover getting stuck under another piece of cargo. Ah, that's not possible. But it is. It shouldn't be this way, but the statue is on top of the cloth. Supposing that the neighboring piece of cargo was brought on board in Shangfa, there is no way that any part of it should wind up under something from Europe. Which means that this fake statue was smuggled on board in Shangfa. But then what about the cargo certificates? Let me ask in return, what about Agent Hicks? Why did he come down here in the middle of the flight? There's only one reason why, to secure proof of smuggling activity aboard this flight. So you say, but I don't believe he had to do that mid-flight. We could have just as easily inspected all of the cargo after the plane landed. That may be true, however, you have it backwards, Francesca. Sure, Agent Hicks could have waited until after the plane had landed, but he had a reason for coming down to the cargo hold. Suppose he had found the fake at the airport. It would have been after the swap had occurred. At that time, suspicion would naturally fall into the statue's owner, who would have no way to prove that the statue was switched without his knowledge. Which means there is someone involved who is forging or modifying cargo certificates. Guess the victim knew the real version of this was gonna get nabbed, huh? Yes, well this photo could have been seen as nothing more than a simple souvenir. It was in fact taken to be used as a reference document later on. Next, Agent Hicks had to secure proof that the smuggling had taken place. He came down here to take a picture of the cargo hold, a rather empty one that, right before the fake statue could be loaded on board. A photo of the hold missing a valuable piece of cargo would have been proof enough. After that, all he had to do was hold the Shangfa cargo crew and arrest the smuggler. Exactly. This only goes to prove my theory. The statue was not in the cargo hold during the Europe Shangfa leg of the trip. There would have been enough height from which Agent Hicks could have fallen to his death. Officer! Move this statue immediately! I want a thorough examination of the floor underneath now! So, Karma, I'm ready to report my findings. Go on. After moving the Alley Fred statue out of the way, we tested the area under it with luminol, and there was a reaction. I see. There was a reaction to luminol, an indication that there was blood in that spot. Can we stop looking at it now, sirs? It seems that my deductions were correct after all. I suppose it would appear that way. The culprit cleaned the blood up well. And how do you think the killer did that? How did the killer clean up all the blood?
Take that!
The killer used the bloody cloth I found inside the suitcase to clean up the mess. I see. They had the need to clean up all the blood before the plane landed in Shangfa. Yes, because otherwise the cargo crew would have discovered it during the layover. So you guys are saying that the murder happened before the plane landed in Shangfa? There is no other conceivable timeline for the events of the murder. But if that is true, then that throws a certain person's testimony into doubt. If the murder occurred before we landed at Shangfa, then that becomes highly suspect. Miss Meele's testimony. Recall Miss Meele's testimony about Agent Hicks in regard to when we departed Shangfa. I saw Mr. Hicks sitting in a seat at 5 a.m., you know. She claims Agent Hicks was alive at the time of the service calls, but that totally contradicts the facts, sir. But why would she lie about something like that? I think the only person who can answer that is Miss Meele herself. Miss Meele. Miss Meele! Huh? Do you recall what you said earlier, about when you answered some service calls as we were departing from Shangfa? Ah, you said that Mr. Hicks was sitting in a seat at that time. However, that is simply not possible, because Mr. Hicks was dead long before we ever touched down in Shangfa. Ah, Miss Meele. Maybe I didn't see what I thought I did? No one could make a mistake so large, Miss Meele. But I make that kind of boo-boo all the time. Yeah. This is going nowhere. There must be a better way of resolving this contradiction. Very well, Miss Meele, if you please, tell me about your alibi during the time span. From just before we were to land at 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. when the body was found. Are you telling me I'm a suspect, Mr. Edgeworth? Yeah. From 3 to 4, I was, in the flight attendant's room, all by my lonesome self. Yeah. And from 5 to 6, I was, in the flight attendant's room, all by my lonesome self. How is a man supposed to react to a testimony like that? Miss Meele, wake up! Ah! She fell asleep again. Looks like the only way I'm going to be able to wake her up is by pressing her. Really, Gary? What do you mean? I've been awake this whole time. Oh, it's alright if you were sleeping, pal. Pay no mind to the scruffy detective beside you and wake up. Hurry up and wake up, Miss Meele. Enough with the clowning around. This is my show and I resolve the contradictions as I see fit. "5:40 a.m. You weren't all by yourself." Objection! I wonder if you would be so kind as to take a look at this receipt, Miss Meele. Huh? A receipt? For what? It's for the suitcase Miss Tenero bought. Now, if I may direct your attention to the timestamp. As you can see, it clearly says 5:40 a.m. Miss Tenero. Yes. Yes? Huh, why is the killer here? I thought you'd have locked her up by now. I requested that she be present as a witness so that we may straighten out your complex lie. Now then, Miss Teddyrow, between the hours of 5 and 6 a.m., you took a trip from first class down to the first floor in-flight shop, correct? Yes, I went to the shop to buy my suitcase. After which, I went straight to the attendant's room to drop it off. And did you see Miss Meele there at the time? No. So, Miss Meele, where were you really between the hours of 5 and 6 a.m.? Hold up, you guys. Sorry about that. Spammers. Miss Cammy Meele. Huh? The bathroom? I'll be the one to ask the questions here. Yeah, maybe that's it. I probably just missed her. Nature calls, you know. Do you take me for a fool? That's a little too convenient to be true. But it's the truth. Cross my heart. I don't have enough conclusive proof to counter-argue her at this stage. You don't believe me, do you? But please, why don't you give me a chance and hear me out? Look, I know you're suspecting me because I'm one of the crew. But you think that maybe you should also suspect Miss Rhoda, too? She's the one in charge of the elevator keycard in the shop, you know. If you ask me, that makes her super suspicious. Please leave Miss Teddyrow out of the conversation. Only you are under suspicion for now. I don't get it. Why are you covering for Miss Rhoda all of a sudden? Oh, now I get it. Maybe you got your eye on Miss Rhoda. Of course I'm keeping an eye on her. I can't very well let her escape, can I? Never mind. But you want to know something? Miss Rhoda actually kind of lied. I have absolutely no interest in people who can't appreciate my sense of design. Now's not the time for this sort of talk.
Hold it!
And what are you in charge of, Miss Meele? I take care of the attendance room. That doesn't count. But I spend so much time in there, it might as well be my responsibility. Mr. Edgeworth Cammy is very talented in languages, so she assists passengers who may not speak English, especially those who speak Borshinian. She is the only one on this flight who is fluent. Oh, you mean that kind of what am I in charge of? Why didn't you say so in the first place? What else could I admit? Yeah, so I'm really good at Borshinian. She's fluent in Borshinian. I suppose you're in charge of processing documents in Borshinian. Yeah, I take care of anything that has to do with Borshinian. Very interesting. Well, well, well.
Objection!
So you're the only one in this flight crew that speaks Borshinian? Is that correct? Oh, yeah, I guess so. I studied abroad in Borshinia for a while. If that is the case, then the signature on this document belongs to you, doesn't it? This is a falsified piece of documentation with only one purpose: to lead anyone who read it to believe that Mr. LeBlanc's statue was loaded in Europe. The only person who could have either prepared or processed this document in Borshinian is you, Miss Meele. Without your participation, the smuggling of the Leaf Red could not have occurred. Don't sleep while I'm pointing my finger at you. Oh, I wouldn't dream of falling asleep on you, Mr. Edgeworth. It's exactly as you say. Are you confessing to have participated in the smuggling? No, far from it. It's true that I was the one who signed off on that document. But you can't use that fact alone to make your allegation of smuggling stick. There's no direct correlation after all. All you have is my signature on a piece of paper. Really, all you did was sign it. I neglected to check the cargo had been loaded onto the plane properly. So sorry about that. Seems that she's finally woken up. It's going to be one tough fight. Suppose, and this is just a supposition, even if I was involved in the smuggling, you can't throw the charge of murder on me just like that. If you were involved in the smuggling, you would have a strong motive to kill. Agent Hicks was in the middle of an investigation regarding a smuggling ring. And just when he was about to close in, he's killed by a member of that ring. Well, did you ever stop to think that maybe Rhoda is the smuggling ring member? After all, unlike me, Rhoda has access to many things on this plane for work purposes. So perhaps there's some element of setup at play in this case? What are you talking about? Don't worry, I wasn't talking about you. I meant the killer. First it was myself, now it's Miss Tenero, who is under the microscope. Seems to me that the killer's going to great lengths to pin this crime on anyone they can. We have no proof that Rhoda is being set up, or that she isn't. Actually, I believe that she was indeed the intended target from the very beginning. I believe that plan was to push all the blame for the crime onto her. And this evidence will prove my suspicions. This proves that the killer was out to frame Miss Tenero from the very beginning.
Take that!
The killer could have hidden the body anywhere, and yet they chose the suitcase. Why is that? Perhaps it was to move the body up from the lower deck to the first floor. However, why go through the trouble to do so? The only way all of these actions make sense is if the killer had wanted to frame Miss Tenero for the murder. Miss Tenero buys a suitcase on every flight she works without fail. But should a suitcase be switched with one containing the victim's body, that would put her in a very tight spot. Unfortunately for the killer, the turbulence put an end to that plan. There wasn't enough time to put the body back into the suitcase. Ergo, they made do with whoever was at hand, adapt their plan, and tried to frame me as I lay unconscious on the floor from the turbulence. The killer then went to hide the suitcase in the in-flight shop, and brought the piggy bank back to the elevator in order to fabricate a false weapon. A lot of work for a fruitless endeavor, wouldn't you agree? Sounds like the killer had a tough time too, huh? I mean, why did the killer need to frame someone that badly anyway? That is because of the special circumstances surrounding this particular case. Where the murder took place. The special circumstance is simply that the murder took place on a plane mid-flight. No matter which country customs is quite strict in this day and age. So no matter what you do, the chances that the body will be found is very high. Therefore, there was no choice but to frame either Miss Tenero or myself. In other words, the only one who fits within the boundaries of the criminal's movements is not Miss Tenero or myself, but you, Miss Meele. Only you, and you alone, could be the killer. And, are you done already? I was about to fall asleep again. Anyway, let's be honest here. You don't have anything on me other than a whole lot of circumstantial evidence. Sure. I can see the outline of how the murder occurred, but I have no definitive evidence. And isn't there a piece of evidence that's still unaccounted for? Something that I still can't quite fit into the big picture? The missing cell phone.
Take that!
I don't have any actual evidence. I thought not. But that's because it went missing, and still is. Missing? What do you mean by that? In the complex puzzle that is this case, there was one piece I kept getting stuck on. And that is the victim's cell phone. Francesca, you were waiting at the airport for a phone call from Agent Hicks' cell phone. Or at least that's what you told me. That's right. But Agent Hicks' cell phone could not be found at the crime scene. It means the killer took the phone with him? Precisely. I suspect that if we were able to find that phone, it would lead us to the killer. Come on, get serious. As the victim fell to his death from that height, would his phone break as well? We won't know that until we try a little experiment, will we? Francesca, I'd like to ask for your assistance. You know the victim's phone number, do you not? Of course I do. Agent Hicks' phone! It's ringing from somewhere, sir! I hear it, Detective. Now where's it coming from? And we will find out where that phone is coming from next time on on Miles Edgeworth Investigations. Yes, that's right. We kind of have to bring an end to this here. I'm really excited. I feel like next we will be at the end of this case, and therefore we'll be heading into the blind portion of this playthrough of the cases I have not seen. So I'm kind of excited to get into that. But until then, thank you all for watching. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to Bonnie Time for more content, especially more Ace Attorney investigations. Also, make sure to share this video far and wide so we can get as many eyes on this series as possible. I will see you all next time.